Dr. Vijay Kumar, Associate Professor, Department of Economics, Delhi University. Welcome, sir. Mr. Keshav Kumar, Assistant Editor, News Nation Digital. Welcome, Mr. Keshav. I have great pleasure in welcoming all the directors, deans, HODs, and members of faculty of IIMT Group of Colleges, Greater Noida, as well as the faculty members from different institutions of Delhi NCR and other states. I also welcome the coordinators of today's event, Madam Naina Tyagi and Madam Akshita Garg, as well as the entire technical team for their relentless efforts and timely execution of work to ensure the smooth conduct of this budget conclave on digital platform in this worldwide pandemic environment. I extend my loving welcome to all my students of IIMT Group of Colleges and also the students of other institutions who have ensured their active participation in this conclave. This post-budget conclave 2022 will definitely give a vibrant picture of the budget. All the participants, which is the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to make it a progressive budget, friendly budget, youth-friendly budget for a new India. Finally, I wish all the best for the success of this post-budget conclave 2022. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, sir. Humbly requesting that each panel member will be given 10 minutes to ensure the smooth and timely conduct of the event, followed by Q&A session. Now, to begin this program, I feel extremely honored to introduce our session chair, Dr. Rajiv Agrawal, President of Association of AII Industries, Mandidi, an industrialist by profession and trainer by passion. He, being an industrialist, life coach, master facilitator, mentor, and motivational guru, is known for his enthusiasm, humor, and high energy, which tells people how to live up to their greatness. It is such a privilege to have him as today's chair session. I invite him to enlighten the audience with his words of wisdom to proceed with the opening of the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Miss Akshita Garg, for such a wonderful introduction. In fact, just for all the listeners, I only gave her all this in writing and she read it through. So thank you very much for reading all those things that I have written for myself. Thank you very much. I am feeling glad. I am feeling glad for budget, and I am feeling glad that I am sitting among us so wonderful dignitaries. मुझे तो ऐसा लग रहा है वो पानी में बहता हुआ तिनका कोई शिवलिंग पर आकर चढ़ जाता है तो कैसा इतराता है. That kind of feeling I am. I mean, such wonderful people. Subro Kamal, Dr. Subro Kamal, Dr. Vijay, Dr. Narendra, Dr. Abhyanand, Vijay Malhotra ji, and who not. So thank you very much for having me here. Talk about the budget for this budget की क्या खासियत और एक तो बड़ा अच्छा जो बच्चे Dr. Abhya, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
तो जवानों के लिए इस गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत अच्छा काम ये कर दिया कि बजट लास्ट वीक से लाकर पहले वीक में ले आए. तो वो क्या वैलेंटाइन डे से पहले बजट आ जाता है तो सबको पता लग जाता है कि क्या दे सकते हैं क्या नहीं दे सकते हैं. डायमंड सस्ते हो गए हैं और आर्टिफिशियल महंगे हो गए. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, बजट इज वंडरफुल फॉर टू रीजंस. आई एम प्लीज्ड. One, I have seen with experience over the period of time, whenever governments come in with budget, the first budget and the last budget, I mean just before the next election, budgets are people friendly kind of budget, और ऐसा इंस्पिरेशन रहता है कि अच्छा बजट बना दिया जाए. But having said this, अभी ये बजट जो आया, everyone was worried कि यार इलेक्शन टाइम पे आ रहा है, कुछ ऐसे इलेक्शन गिमिकिंग या कुछ नहीं होगी. I am very pleased to tell you that this budget at least has nothing to do with the elections. Elections were not at in the mind of FM when she presented this bill. So this is a great thing to do. But at the same time, she had a tough task. She's in an unenviable position. एक middle class जिसकी aspirations हैं. I think budget has two things. I don't want to be Arnab Sen and सारी बातें मैं ही कर दूं, but then at the same time, let me put things in perspective. One from the common man perspective, a middle class man. मुझे क्या चाहिए? मुझे ये चाहिए कि साहब मेरी जो इनकम है उसमें टैक्स थोड़ा कम लगे and my hard earned money can save in my account. That was one expectation कि थोड़ा सा टैक्स कम हो जाए या कोई ATC बढ़ जाए, स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन बढ़ जाए. those kind of things, a typical middle class ideas. The second is कि मेरे को थोड़ा सा जो सामान है वो अभी अभी बहुत महंगा होता है, इन्फ्लेशन इज वेरी हाई, एनीथिंग, आई मीन एवरी हाउस होल्ड बजट हैज गॉन अप बाय 20-30%. वो थोड़ा सा कुछ हो जाए, आई थिंक थिंग्स विल बी एड्रेस, बट एज ऑफ नाउ कुछ बहुत दिखा नहीं. बट दिखा क्या? It is a growth budget. When I look it from a businessman point of view, from an industrialist point of view, the next two things that middle class wants कि मेरे बच्चों की नौकरी टाइम से लग जाए. I mean that is one thing, and that happens only when government goes by improving things, investing money, creating those opportunities. कैसे किया मैं बिल्कुल सिंपलीफाई बता देता हूँ. मैं बजट को कैसे देखता हूँ, बच्चे जैसे समझते हैं, those who are from the commerce background. As a businessman, I see three lines in my balance sheets. Top line, that is what I have earned, what are my expenses, and my bottom line, what is my profit or loss. Now look at the government of India, what are their receipts, that is top line, what are their expenses, and not profit loss, it is called surplus or deficit. So, I mean, there is a great way of handling all the things. The deficit is little, about 6.4%, thoda chinta hai, but it is not thing to be worried because it is seen in the percentage of GDP. This is all for children who are listening to me. All the dignitaries here understand this nitty-gritty very fine. So that is wonderful way of growing the things. That is one idea that is needed to be done. दूसरा क्या किया कि एक PLI स्कीम के बारे में सुनने को मिला होगा, प्रोडक्शन लिंक इंसेंटिव. आपके पास कोई आया, डॉक्टर मिस अक्षिता के पास, अभयानंद जी के पास, विजय मल्होत्रा जी के पास, कि साहब ये गरीब आदमी है, इसकी हेल्प कर दीजिए. एक ढंग तो ये है कि मैं उसे कुछ पैसे दे दूं, एंड दैट बिकम्स हिज हेल्प एंड इट बिकम्स सब्सिडी. The second is I give that money for him to get trained and earn for himself. मछली देना या मछली मारने सिखाना जैसा. तो सब्सिडी वर्सेस प्रोडक्शन लिंक्ड इंसेंटिव्स, that is one way I mean government helps people grow. And third is the capex. जब सड़कें बनती हैं तो एम्प्लॉयमेंट आती है, नौकरियां मिलती है, इंजीनियर्स को मिलती है, क्वालिटी कंट्रोल्स वालों को मिलती हैं, and there is a big 35% growth in capex to 75 lakh crores. That is one area that has been done very well. So if you look at a businessman point of view, this is fantastic. I have a MSME and I sit on an industrial area where I have people who have nearly 1 lakh crore of turnover with 30,000 crore export. तो उनका क्या aspirations है? वो ये चाह रहे थे कि साहब थोड़ा सा हेल्प हो जाए, और वो हुआ. I mean the GCL, ECGCL, जो लोग नहीं समझ पा रहे, emergency credit guarantee line दी थी गवर्नमेंट ने, that has been increased. CGTMSE एक स्कीम है जिसमें बिना कोलेटरल के लोन मिलता है, just for the kids. That outlay has been increased by 2 lakh crores. So this is going to give a big flip to the MSME. They needed it. दूसरा क्या हुआ, अगर इस बजट को आप ध्यान से देखेंगे, it is prevalent with the technology. कहीं भी देख लीजिए, पूरी जगह टेक्नोलॉजी सुनाई देगी. फार्मर ड्रोन्स, ई-पासपोर्ट, नेशनल डाटा हेल्थ डिपॉजिटरी, यूनिक लैंड पार्सल आइडेंटिफिकेशन नंबर, डिजिटल करेंसी. I mean, look at it. There is a focus on digitization, there is a focus on technology. Whole budget, this is prevalent, that you can see that it is, technology is going to be the master. What else? What else could have been done? Which are the areas where work is needed to be done? Disinvestment. Government को पास पैसा कहाँ आता है, बहुत सारे taxes आते हैं, then there is a disinvestment, divestment जैसे कहते हैं. The target was for last year was 1.75 lakh crores. We could do only just about 60,000 crores. There's a deficit of 1.15 lakh crores. And over 2 years, this deficit, if you cumulate it for last 2 years, it is 2.5 lakh crores. So this is one area probably government needs to look at it and really do something about it. There is also a need to, there is a talk about SCZ rules to be changed. And I'm sure this commercial properties will definitely change. Because abhi tak kya ho raha tha, SCZ, and to take the tax holiday, just for everyone to understand, you have to make everything within the SCZ. Then only you are able to avail the tax holidays and benefits. But Corona, you know, the people have been working at home. There is a work from home culture, and there is a need to really clear the things as to what can be construed as a within the SCZ and outside the SCZ. So rules are being now tweaked, and I'm sure this thing will also be taken care. There is one more thing which all next generation need to probably understand. The last to last century was dominated by oil. This century is being dominated by data, and next century is going to be dominated by batteries. There is a big clear-cut indication of how government is thinking. There is a battery swapping policy. Now this will do two things. vehicles will improve, the vehicles will be bought, and second, there will be standardization of battery. Akshita ji ne ek kharidi, Abhyar ji ne ek, maine ek, तीनों की अलग-अलग battery अब नहीं चलेगी because there is a battery swapping policy. We need to go to Pune from our car, so we need to exchange it, swap it on the way. So that is another very, very big thing has been done. We are very bullish on PLI. PLI is a big thing, and I think 19,500 crore have been, I mean, the exact figure I don't recall, but probably it is 19,500 crores that have been allotted. That is needed to be done. There's another area which is important is ramp. Now, not many people will understand what is ramp. Ramp is raising and accelerating MSME performance. So this clearly shows that government is clear about MSME, that MSME need to be strengthened. 27% jobs come from MSME. A major chunk of GDP comes from MSME. So they need to be really taken care, and that has been done. So all this, all put simply, is a growth-oriented kind of thing. As a businessman, मुझे लगता है कि कोई टैक्स इंटेंसिव की बात मत कीजिए साहब, हमें ऐसा बजट दीजिए जिससे हमारे बिजनेस ग्रो हो, एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट हो, कैपेक्स बढ़े गवर्नमेंट का, PLIs आए, वो हुआ. एज ए इंडिविजुअल मुझे लगता है सर मैडम थोड़ा सा स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन बढ़ा देते, सैलरीड वाला आदमी हूँ, थोड़ा सा ATC में बढ़ा दिया होता, हाउसिंग लोन है साहब उसका थोड़ा सा पैसा बढ़ा दिया होता, 2 लाख पे आप मुझे छोड़ देते हैं. Those are the small expectations typically of a middle class man that would have happened, because my wife is working, so I know she always talks about it. So that is needed to be done, but I still say this is a good balancing act which was needed to be done and has been done. I definitely appreciated that the things have been done. मुझे वो बजट से हमेशा बड़ी आस लगी रहती है कि पता नहीं क्या होने वाला है, तो मुझे वो 4 लाइनें मैं सुबह चलते हुए गाना सुनता हूँ, तो आज एक गाना बज रहा था तो मैंने उसको थोड़ा ट्वीक कर दिया, तो कह रहा था तुम बजट सी सुंदर आस प्रिय, मैं टीवी डिबेट सी निराशा हूँ. आजकल टीवी डिबेट सुनने लायक नहीं, सब सुन लो तो घर में झगड़ा हो जाए, तो मूड खराब हो जाता है. तो तुम बजट सी सुंदर आस प्रिय, मैं टीवी डिबेट सी निराशा हूँ, तुम झूठे स्वप्न दिखाती हो, मैं सच्ची अभिलाषा हूँ, मुश्किल है अपना मेल प्रिय, ये बजट नहीं है खेल प्रिय. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच. दिस बजट हैज बीन अ लैंडमार्क बजट, आई मस्ट से. 25 साल की नींव रखी जा रही है, and we all should be really looking forward to good times ahead for our kids, for ourselves. And lastly, thank you very much for giving me, I mean, मुझे तो ऐसा लग रहा है फूलों की क्यारी में एक बिट्टे के ढेले को बिठा दिया कि सब बैठ जाओ, आप हो गए chair of the session. So thank you very much for giving this honor, this opportunity. Thank you very much for listening to me, and thank you very much. I rest here so that others can say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir, for your cheerful, vibrant words. Thank you so very much for being so kind. So now I invite Dr. Sarv Kamal Datta, a renowned expert think tank and advisor at various media houses, for knowledge sharing on the theme of the event. Over to you, sir.
Seems like he has logged out. He was here in between briefly, but right
Yes.
now he's not visible.
Yeah. Not an issue. I'll invite Dr. Narendra Kumar Bhasin, professor from Amity School of Insurance, Banking and Actuarial Science, to enlighten our audience with some knowledge sharing. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, good afternoon, sir, and thank you for IIMT for giving the opportunity. Dr. Ji very beautifully has set the tone that chair is very important, because if the chair is not strong, that the other panelists can how to look to you, that whenever we can be head up in the question answer sessions. And so thank you very much for IIMT, Dr. Abhinanda, Akshita Garg ma'am, Dr. Rajiv Agarwal, and Dr. Bin Bakshi, Director, IIMT College. So as a banking, you know that budget, whenever, as Sarah said, that we all have a hope from the budget. And budget basically impact the banking and the financial market. But if we see that Sarah said that common middle people, that there's not too much, but banking, which have gone through, and yesterday we've seen that majorly the 5 major areas which have been covered. So I think 10 minutes time I will cover, and then during our question and session we can detail. So majorly 5 points which I thought has been very impressed in this budget is that more credit lines for small business, MSME, introduction of central banking digital currency, which many other countries already, though it has been debated that it means that legalization of cryptocurrency. So that doubt is also clear in the evening by finance minister that it's only a taxation which is coming from the people who are using crypto and earning profit and TDS, but it doesn't mean that it has been legalized as similar. So cryptocurrency is different because they are having a sense risk, but CBDC which will be issued by RBI very soon. Then digital banking push again, including post office, that is a major tremendous 1.5 lakh post office, including digital banking push. Then amendment to strengthen to Insolvency Bankruptcy Act. And then some expectation are there like privatization of public sector bank like Central Bank of India or Bank of India. So nothing was mentioned because the last budget it was announced. But in this budget, there is no mention. Even there is no mention of the banking amendment bill, which will be coming in the future. Another expectation from the budget was the capitalization of public sector bank, though very nominal amount of 15,000 crore. But then again, the reason also given that the banks after the consolidation and amalgamation of 27 public sector bank and now only 12 public sector bank, the health is improving and the NPS have also come down, which shows. So majorly, if you see the first important part is that RBI to introduce digital rupee in financial 23. So that was again emerging technologies we already seen in the last 5 to 6 years, or the basic emerging technologies like blockchain or big data, as well as IoT, or we are using this cloud computing and chatbots. And very recently, we've seen that e-collaboration between traditional banks and the fintech company. Because earlier we thought that there is a competition between the traditional bank and so banks started with their own in-house IT team for developing the products and for the marketing and business enhancement. But later we realized that fintech companies cannot be a competitor because ultimately they have to e-collaborate, they have to partner. Like Airtel Payment Bank we started, but these payment bank cannot work alone equivalent because banking for last 100 years, 75 years, we have expertise people who are working in lending or MSME or in forex or capital market. They have a huge working experience knowledge. Payment and technology can integrate the processes, can do the fast recovery. We have seen the risk management software being introduced in the bank. We're also using risk management for reducing NPS, for early warning signal. So technology blockchain will be used for the blockchain is basically keeping all the layers and the ledgers in a distributed form. Earlier, for example, if you see in bank branch when we used to print statements of account or current account statement. So it was since I have been 27 years in banking, right from 86 to till 2015. I have worked in various banks like IDFC, Axis, IIC, and then we've seen public. We used to take the printout of huge ledgers at the end of every half year. But now through blockchain, we can keep all these records in a distributed layers. And so blockchain will use other emerging technologies will be used. CBDC will be like a legal tender issued by the RBI, but only thing the form is different. That is it will seem like a fiat currency. Fiat currencies mean that for students who are in this seminar, fiat currency means that currency are issued by RBI without the backing of any gold or silver. So they are basically backed by the government, that how the government has and central bank has a financial stable system. So CBDC will like a fiat currency which will be exchangeable from one currency to another or from one person to another. Only the form is different, that instead of paper or polymer, there will be virtual trading in. So there's difference between a cryptocurrency because many people thought the cryptocurrency is equal to CBDC. No, cryptocurrencies still many people who are individually taking risks, though RBI and the banks are making aware the people that this don't use this, it's a risky because neither the source of fund is available, neither we know who is the remitter. And one fine day, if we find that on the web, if that exchange vanish, everything is gone. So basically CBDs are regulated because banking being the most regulated and only the form will be used. So this is, again, I told the government also proposed 30% tax on digital private asset, because people thought taxation on digital private asset means that the cryptocurrency has been legalized. So no, there should be no confusion, because cryptocurrency, those people are using, trading, earning profit, they will pay 30% tax on earning from these crypto and other exchange, or 1% TDS on that. Another important beautiful part of this budget is government extended the emergency credit line guarantee scheme, that is ECLGS, which I introduced last year for during COVID pandemic, to expand from 50,000 crore to now 5 lakh crore. This was basically a scheme which was extended emergency facility to business enterprise in COVID-19 crisis. And ECLGS, if you remember, is one of the key component of Atmanirbhar 20 lakh crore package economic stimulus. And that was expected also that it will be increased and expanded. Another important feature which impact banking of this budget is that to help MSMEs, as already Sir has said, that pandemic CG's credit guarantee fund transfer or MSME will again have additional credit facility 2 lakh crore for the employment opportunities. So that will be one of the best part there. And then digital banking or post office, I already told you 100% of post offices means 1.5 lakh post office come into, and then all the customers of post office will be able to use the ATM, mobile banking, digital banking technology. This is more important because 35 crore post office deposit for more than 10 crore will come into the financial system. So that funds will be available. And moreover, the financial inclusion, because 1.5 lakh, their post office remote areas, so they will promote the financial inclusion, that is every account for every one person. And then another initiative of fintech innovation, 75 for independence, 75 digital banking units will be introduced in 70 districts of the country. That was to enjoy the digital banking every nook and corner of. And last, which is IBC amendment, that insolvency is now available for cross-border also. Further, to accelerate corporate exit, I think other speaker will cover, our chartered accountant friend sir will cover that voluntary winding up has been reduced to the next system. Only thing what was not covered is basically, I told you, privatization of bank, and then it was not covered that how further capitalization, 15,000 crore is very small amount to run the state-run banks, or maybe the privatization. So I think overall for banking, budget is always good, but only thing that we have to check the implication and how we can, as a banker, how we can use it in a better way. So that's all from my side from this point. Any questions we'll take over later. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. Now I invite CA Vijay Mehratra, MCom, FCA, FCS, currently working and associated with Messrs. PL Tandon and Companies, to enlighten our audience with some knowledge sharing. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon to all. Madam, are you audible? My voice is audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, madam.
Audible.
I am very grateful to IIMT College management for giving me this chance to express my views on the budget. As regards the direct tax is concerned, there is no change and there is no relief to the common man on this budget. In this regard, Honorable Finance Minister already stated that although we have not given any relief to the SSE, but on the other hand, no additional burden has been casted on the taxpayer. So it is a good sign. For last 2 years, he has not increased any slab rate of taxes. As regards indirect taxation is concerned, it is GST and it is governed by the GST Council. So there is no additional provision for the GST on this budget. Although physically handicapped taxpayer, Honorable Finance Minister has allowed some concession to them. As regard education system, Finance Minister had proposed to install e-lab, e-university, etc. for the augment of the education in the field of every area. Main focus has been given on the development of the infrastructure, that is construction of national highway infrastructure, road infrastructure, highways, 25,000 kilometers per year. Another feature of the budget is for green farming, sir. Development of the green farming by implementing organic and encourage the land which are alongside 5 kilometers up to Ganga River. They have all already proposed for the joining of Betwa Nadi with Ken Nadi, and there will be an outlay of 14,000 crores on this way. So our agriculture farmers will be benefited. We will get better food, hygienic food, organic food, because there is an emphasis to increase the productivity of organic food, which is very good for the health. Now, another feature, they are everything is joining by e-system. Post office will be 1.5 lakh post office will be connected by CBS system. So people will be benefited by CBS system when they join all the post office and can do the transaction like banks. Another focus has been given to the employment. They are proposed to giving 60 lakhs employment during the financial year 2022-23. Another feature development is to there is income tax. Regarding income tax, they are giving reduced corporate surcharge from 12% to 7%, and in the case of cooperative society whose income is 1 crore to 10 crore, reduced to 7% from 12%. It is also a benefit to the corporate sector. There is an emphasis to augment and install new MSME and new startup. Finance Minister has given a allocation of budget to MSME industries. So overall, it is a budget which has been made keeping in view the vision for next 25 years, when independence will complete 100 years. Sir. Another feature of this budget is मेन जो डेवलपमेंट के लिए जो भी है सर, इसके लिए डेवलपमेंट फोकस बजट है, चाहे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो, चाहे एजुकेशन हो, हेल्थ हो, फार्मिंग हो, इन सब पे बजट के, और इससे ग्रोथ ओरिएंटेड बजट है. इसका शॉर्ट टर्म हमको कोई भी रिलीफ जो जनरल पब्लिक है वो महसूस नहीं कर रही है इस समय. इसके जो रिपरकशंस आएंगे वो लॉन्ग टर्म्स में आएंगे और धीरे धीरे आएंगे, प्रोवाइडेड जो ऑल प्रपोजल जो प्रपोज किए गए हैं वो जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव अथॉरिटीज है वो रेगुलेटेड करती हैं उनको सही तरीके से. तो मेन तो यही है सर, उसका डेवलपमेंट पे डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द कंट्री. और थैंक यू वेरी मच सर.
Thank you so very much, sir, for your kind knowledge sharing. Now, I invite CA Rajendra Kumar Garg, Senior Consultant, currently associated with PL Tandon and Company, for knowledge sharing on the theme of the event. Over to you, sir.
गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीवन। हमारे इमीडिएट स्पीकर ने जो शेयर किया है, हम आपको जस्ट एक इनडायरेक्ट कैसेज के बेनिफिट्स या जो भी चेंजेज है वो आपको ब्रीफ कर रहे हैं। बेसिकली पहले हम लोग जो इनकम टैक्स का रिटर्न फाइल करते थे वो रिवाइज नहीं कर पाते थे। इसमें लर्नेड एफएम ने एक इसमें ये प्रोवाइड कर दिया कि वी कैन नाउ चेंज आवर इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न ऑफ द लास्ट 2 years with the additional payment of the taxes. This is the great welcome. Another is when we are purchasing the property, then we are required to deduct a tax at the rate of 1% of the value. This was in consultancy with the other provisions of the income tax, that was 43CA and 50C. Now we are required to deduct a tax on the higher value, that is your purchase value or stamp duty value, which is higher, then we are required to deduct a tax on the higher value. Another is your virtual digital assets, that is now taxable at the rate of 30% without any deductions. Then we are required to deduct only cost of the acquisition, and the 1% TDS is also to be deducted by the exchanges. Another is long-term capital gain on the listed security, which was on which we are paying surcharge at the higher rate if the value, if the capital gain is higher. Now the maximum 15% surcharge is level on the just your capital gain. This is the major relief for the higher earners of the capital gains. Another is undisclosed income. Undisclosed income when गवर्नमेंट कोई सर्वे या कोई भी रेट करता है उसमें अनडिस्क्लोज इनकम मिलती है, तो उसमें अगर कोई लिस्टेड कंपनी या कोई भी कंपनी होती है तो वो दे कैन एडजस्ट इट फ्रॉम योर लॉसेज. नाउ दिस रिलीफ हैज बीन विड्रॉन. देयर विल बी नो सेट ऑफ इन द लॉसेज and we have to pay tax on the undisclosed income. Another major relief is for startup. For the startup, there is a reduced rate of tax is 15%. Now this scheme has been extended up to March 23. Another is your appeal cases where any matter is pending in the High Court or Supreme Court, and on the same line each assessment is made. Now there is no requirement to file an appeal on the same matter as the matter unless it is decided by the High Court or the Supreme Court. Another your learned your honorable finance minister forecasted economic growth of the 9.2% for the financial year 22-23. If it happen, then all the companies will definitely earn more, and it will be it is very growth oriented history of your Indian economy. And you all know 7.50 lakh crores capex is estimated for the next year. It is more than 100% which was estimated in the 1988-19. It was 3.1 lakh crores. This is 100%. And this is the very boom story for the Indian economy. And you all know cooperative society was required to pay a minimum alternative tax of 18%, which has been reduced to 15% in line with the other companies. These are the minimum. These are the your changes in the your income tax returns, and others are already told by other person. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir. We are really grateful to have words from you. Now, I invite CA Ashima Galhotra, practicing chartered accountant, Mobilsworld, to share her knowledge with us. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, hello everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, audible.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share the dais with so eminent speakers and to share my views on this budget 2022. So thank you very much, IIMT, and greetings to one and all present here. Though most of the things have been covered by the speakers, because there is not much in regard to a chartered accountant can speak in this budget, because no changes in regard to taxation, which is mostly the middle class kind of population of India. They look for few of the changes coming up in the budget, but there is nothing like that. And for which honorable this finance minister, she has said that thank you for just paying taxes. So but yes, today morning I was listening to revenue secretary of the ministry. He was saying that the reason why they are not making any changes to this tax slabs is that the collection of taxes is very low, like only 92%, 8%, he was saying that only the collection is there. If we talk about the good, more than 10 lakhs slab is there. So they say they were actually saying to chartered accountants to encourage people to pay taxes so that we can come up with uh, good announcement in coming years in regard to the taxation slabs. So that is their kind of observation towards or a request, I can say, for all the chartered accountants. We will see to this, but in regard to what the changes have been done, what the announcement have been made in this budget is majorly everybody knows that the one thing which has come is of updated this your return. So now a revised return, it was allowed within a year, and now in updated return you have got more time, like around 3 years now you can do. But additional is that 25% interest is there, and then 50% अगर आप उसके 12 महीने में करते हैं तो it is 25, और उसके बाद अगले और 24 महीने तक आप करते हैं तो 50% हो जाता है. ये थोड़ा सा ये अनदर एडिशनल प्रेशर आ गया है टैक्स पेयर के ऊपर. तो अगर we see to this part, and as well as other announcement coming in this regard, there I can see their focus is more on to stop this the people, those who are not paying taxes. So basically jo tax chori ko rokne ke liye, I can say that. So major they're focusing on that, so they are blocking those like loopholes in the system. And in regard to this digital like virtual asset, currency asset, so it is not only like crypto. Virtual currency asset, the definition includes that it is like code is also there. So whatever you have given to the other person, maybe in kind or in consideration, so both is part of that. And if I talk about 1% TDS, there is also a limit of, and if the consideration is up to 50,000, then there will be no any TDS on that for specified person, and for not specified, the limit is 10,000 rupees. So the one now TDS is also included for this 30% taxation. Another, the doubt which is yet to be clear by them is in which head we are going to take this income further now, because since yesterday I have been listening to many chartered accountants, but the views are mixed, as few are saying it is going to be part of the capital gain income, and the few reviews which says that it is going to be part of the other source income. So few maybe the clarifications are yet to come from the finance ministry. And many appeals have already been done by chartered accountants to the ministry to come up with more clarification, or in regard to, if I say this updated return, which they have added this 25% and 50%. So we are making such appeals to the ministries to work on these limits, because this is an additional burden on the taxpayers. And apart from this, the good thing which I can see is, which really attracted me was, again, everything, the focus was on digitalization. So digital university was a very good point, in regard to education, if I can talk on. And again, and See, one thing which I can share with this, that there was a judgment from the Rajasthan High Court there was a case. So in that they said that this health and education tax will be taken as a deduction, as an expense from the business income. Now this has been made clear in this budget by Honorable Finance Minister that it is not allowed as a deduction. So the tax paid as a health tax or the education tax paid is not allowed as deduction from the business income. So this has been clarified and overruled by the coming budget. So this is the good point. And again, this long-term capital gains assets, they have been capped on 15% surcharge on long-term capital gains. Earlier, it used to reach to nearly around 37%. The maximum limit was that. So now it has been capped to 15%. So this is the good point. And I will not talk much on virtual digital assets because as has been already covered by other chartered accountants. So I'm only taking up the points which are not touched. So, and the another thing is the gross GST collection. They have shared that for January, it is over 1.4 lakh crores, highest since the inception of GST. So this is a fact shared in the budget this time. And another good point was that they have given this window of 10 years for tax exemption to the startups. So earlier it was that they can enroll for this benefit if they have incorporated their business before 2022, 31st March. Now this has been increased by another year so it is 31st March 2023. Because of the COVID situation, they have increased this year. So if any startup incorporated before 2023 can avail this benefit. So my view for those who are saying there's nothing for salaried people, there is nothing for middle class, I would say that government is, more of they're focusing on digitalization, economy, infrastructure, and startups. So even we could see around that more focus is nowadays on encouraging people to come up with their ideas and and their business. So not encouraging them for salaries or going into jobs. But yes, they have also announced that jobs will be coming. Digital era is there. So if I give a 360-degree view to the budget, so I would say that yes, not talking about majorly the tax rates, but they have taken care of the opportunities coming up and considering the jobs, infrastructure, economy. So ultimately we will be earning. So if we are earning good, we can pay taxes, no issues with that, and in that way I will be contributing to my economy. So from my side, no complaints in regard to that. But yes, definitely we do expect such things from the budget. Though it is not there, but though budget is good, I like, because many things being into education sector as well. With the chartered accountant, I'm into soft skill trainings and run my own business. So I can understand that how important other things also they are. And in regard to GST, the major thing which they have done is they have increased the kind of time limit. Earlier it was 30th September, though it clashes with the income tax returns also. So now it is 30th November. So they have given extra time so that we can reconcile the final books with the credit limits and all. And so if time allows, then I can cover with GST part. So otherwise, majorly I have spoken on the changes which I have came. Or what we can do, ma'am, that we can cover the question answers round if some specific question is coming, because we don't know the audience, if the information I'm providing is important for them or not. So, so that's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. It is highly knowledgeable. Now, I would take the permission to invite Dr. Suvra Kamal Datta, a renowned expert think tank and advisor at various media houses, for knowledge sharing on the theme of the event. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I think there was a lot of technical issues with your server, and that's the reason I have joined in finally so late. I was trying right from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you. Am I visible, by the way, now?
Absolutely, sir.
Right. Good
Really
afternoon.
sorry for the inconvenience, sir.
Thank you so much. Since I am closely associated with the present government and with the Bharatiya Janata Party, so I shall be addressing the issue in relation to the budget, taking into consideration as to what was the options of the government in relation to the budget, and how much was the option and how much was the roadmap for the government to to be flexible in relation to all the sectors, in relation to each and every individual, in relation to every person in life as such. You all know that our government has been it has been handling the COVID situation for the last 2.5 years now, and we have been working a lot in relation to this pandemic as such. No government in the past in independent India had ever faced pandemic. It is the Modi government which has faced pandemic as such, and COVID-19 has actually devastated the world economy in a very big way. We all know that this is a man-made virus, and it was exported from Wuhan in China to across the globe, and India was also very much devastated by it. So the last 2.5 years of the government has been spatially focused in relation to handling the situation, in relation to addressing the issue of the pandemic, and in relation to developing safety mechanism for protecting the citizen of our country against this deadly pandemic as such. I mean, when the pandemic started, everyone across the globe, they were talking that India would be devastated by the pandemic and India would not be in a position to handle this pandemic as such. And perhaps the consequences for Indian civilization and for India as such would be horrible because of the pandemic, because our health infrastructure as well as our resources, according to several skeptics across the world, especially from the Western countries, they all thought that our health infrastructure as well as our resources would not be sufficient enough to handle this pandemic as such. But the last 2.5 years of the experience and the proactive measures of the government of India has actually proved it otherwise. Today, we have actually, we have emerged on the top in relation to the largest vaccination program across the globe. Almost around 150 crore people have been vaccinated with both the doses of vaccine, and around 170 crore people have been administered the first dose of vaccine as such. Just day before yesterday, the health ministry came up with the data that around 70% of the total population of the country has been vaccinated with both the doses of the vaccine. So it was all this kind of a situation which was absolutely unseen, that the government has been handling the crisis, especially in relation to the socio-economic parameters of our country, especially in relation to the socio-economic sector of our country. And we have given in series of dole out packages in the last 2.5 years, whether it's in terms of investment, whether it's in terms of bailout for the agricultural sector, for the MSME sector, or for the main industrial sector as such. And together with that, the government of India has also been providing ration for the last 20 months now for 80 crore population of our country because of the pandemic, free of cost as such. So I'm sure all the esteemed speakers who were speaking previously before me, and also the participants and the young students, you all must be aware as to what is the kind of a situation which we are going through as such. It is because of the dynamic leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji that we have been able to handle this pandemic in a big way, and we are more or less now out of this pandemic as such. The Omicron virus, which has also affected India like the way it has affected all the countries. I mean, this Omicron virus is also gradually dwindling down, and we are actually coming out of the third phase of the or the third wave of the pandemic as such. India has not only helped several countries across the globe in terms of health related, like health related help, and in terms of health related infrastructure, but we have also given vaccine free of cost to across the globe. We have almost exported vaccines to almost around 70 to 80 countries across the globe, free of cost as such, besides providing vaccine to our own individual domestic population as such. Now, with that kind of a background, the 2022-23 budget was presented by the Honorable Finance Minister of our country. She is also my senior from Jawaharlal Nehru University. And in the past, I have worked with her on several issues when she was the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, especially in relation to media debates and in relation to media collaboration and in relation to academic collaboration as such. So the last two budget was actually more focused in relation to handling the pandemic. But this budget, the present budget of 2022-23, has been a budget which has come out of that scenario of being focused only in relation to addressing the issue of the pandemic as such. We all know that because of some unfortunate political bickering, quite a few number of farmers of our country, they had gone in for indefinite dharna for the last for almost 18 long months. So because of the safety of each and every individual, and because this government is a very considerate government, we all actually had to withdraw the 3 farm laws, which were of course very, very beneficial for the rural economy as well as for the farming sector and for the agricultural sector of our country. After the withdrawal of the 3 farm laws, there was a lot of expectation that the government of India under Shri Narendra Modi ji would be coming up with a big package in the coming budget in relation to the MSME industry, in relation to the agricultural sector. And the government and the finance minister has actually proved up to the expectation. There has been a quantum leap in relation to resource generation, in relation to resource allocation for the MSME sector, as well as for the agricultural sector of our country. Huge additional resources has been allocated, so that almost around 70 to 80 lakhs of the farmers of our country, especially the marginal and the downtrodden farmers and the very poor farmers of our country, the marginal farmers of our country, they get benefited by the new raised up calculation, by the new raised up allocation in relation to the MSME. In relation to the MSP given to the agricultural sector, not only for rice, wheat, but also for millet, pulses, and other important agricultural products. Yesterday, Nirmala Sitharaman ji, she has allocated a huge amount of money for the agricultural sector, so that the MSP for the farmers could be given in the right direction with a quantum leap in terms of percentage terms. The calculation of the budget says that because of this quantum leap in relation to the allocation of the financial resources for the agricultural sector, especially in relation to the MSP of essential commodities, essential items like rice, wheat, pulses, millet, etc., and oil seeds as such, almost around 80 crore farmers will be benefited by the direct transfer in their account through this new allocation of the resources as such. Since yesterday, after the presentation of the budget, I have done plethora of shows in different news channels yesterday as well as today. After delivering this lecture with you all also, I will be doing a series of shows with several TV channels in relation to post-budget analysis. There has been a kind of a negativity which has been spread across the country by the opportunist opposition and by some disruptive elements that the budget has got nothing to do with the middle class as such. This is a blatant lie as such, because if you look into the Ujala scheme, if you look into the Jal Yojana scheme of the Honorable Prime Minister, if you look into the Ayushman Bharat scheme of the present government, if you look into the several other related schemes as such, this budget has given an assurance that by 2023, every household in our country will be connected with drinking water facility through tap water as such. When every household of our country, the 135 crore population of our country, when they get connected 100% by basic drinking water facilities, not only in the urban areas but also in the rural and the semi-urban areas, and especially in the poverty stricken areas, is it not going to benefit the marginal class of our country? Is it not going to benefit the lower middle class of our country? Is it not going to benefit the middle class population of our country? Of course it is going to benefit. The second impetus which has been given in relation to the budget is in relation to the new education policy. The new education policy, which is going to be implemented from 2022 onwards, from this year itself, in the new academic session, this budget has allocated a huge amount of resources in relation to the education sector. In the field of education sector, almost around, there has been an additional 20 to 22% more funds being given in relation to the previous budget, in the present budget as such, for the education sector, not only in relation to the not only in relation to the tertiary or the primary educational sector, but also in relation to the secondary, the higher secondary, and the post university, as well as technical sector and non-technical sector, and also in relation to research and development, in relation to PhD, in relation to higher studies as such. There is almost a 22% quantum leap in relation to the additional resources which are being allocated for in the field of education in comparison to the 2021-2022 budget. So when this extra money is being given to the educational sector, it is quite obvious that the middle class population, especially the new generation youths of our country, especially the youths who would be joining in engineering colleges, medical colleges, MBA institutions, media colleges, as well as in other university colleges in the field of sciences, pure sciences, social sciences, and humanities. Every student would be benefited because of this extra allocation of resources which has been provided for the central universities, for the state universities, for the private universities, for the state funded universities, for the central funded universities, as well as the government of India aided institutions, which means every institution which is government, which is semi-government, which is private, which is state funded, which is state aided, or which is central government aided will be benefited from this new allocation of resources, which means that each and every girl and boy who would be joining the new academic session for their studies, for the pursuing of their higher studies, they all will be benefited by this additional allocation of resources as such. The third area is in relation to the health sector. The government of India and the finance minister has said that by the end of 2023, there would be every possible attempt done to give in universal health coverage to each and every individual of the total population of our country, and especially for people who are from the middle class sector, or from the lower middle class sector, or the marginal class sector, or people who are below the poverty line. So therefore, almost several thousand crores of rupees has been allocated extra in relation to Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhiya Karyalay, in relation to the Ayushman Bharat scheme as such, so that more and more people can come under the health insurance covered as such. And once more and more people come under the health insurance cover, there is already an announcement for a separate health card similar to Aadhaar card, which will be provided by the government of India for every citizen as such, for health insurance for health coverage plan as such. So this is also something which is going to benefit the total population of our country, whether it's the rich class, whether it is the middle class, or whether it's the lower middle class, or whether it's the poorer section of the society. So there is another very big benefit in relation to this also for the middle class as such, as well as for the lower middle class and for the marginal section of our country. Together with that, if you also look into the housing scheme of the Modi government, especially in relation to the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana as such, like, I mean, in that also extra money in terms of almost few thousand crores of rupees has been allocated for the housing scheme for all as such. The government of India has said that in 2020 to 2022, 2023, almost around 70 lakh more people will be brought under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana scheme as such, which means like pakka ghar, or like, I mean, cemented houses for each and every individual who are below the poverty line, or those who have those who have very minimal income resources, or people who are from the lower middle class section, or from the lower section of the society. So in that also people will be benefited from this housing scheme as such, and this benefit would be given not only to the poorer section of the society, but also to the middle class section of our society. Together with that, if you look into what has been provided for the youths of our country, especially in relation to the startup companies, in relation to the unicorn, and in relation to the super unicorn as such, government of India has said that, I mean, if India has to emerge as the super economic power across the globe, if India has to emerge as a leader of the Indo-Pacific region, then we have to be Unnat Bharat, we have to be Atmanirbhar Bharat as such. And we are already celebrating 75 years of Azadi ke Amrit Maha Utsav as such, so the 75th year of the Indian independence becomes all the more important for doing something in relation to the younger generation of our country, especially in relation to the youths of our country, as well as for the women folk of our country. So the government of India has encouraged more and more youths to come into startup companies, more and more youths to start with new innovations, more and more youths to come into the digital movement, come into the Skill India movement as such. And therefore, like, I mean, the government of India has not only given a 1 year more holiday plan for startup companies in relation to the loans and in relation to the aid which they apply for as per the existing schemes, but at the same time, the government of India has also allocated almost around several hundreds of crores. I think it's almost around 25,000 crores or might be more, which has been allocated for startup companies, for Digital India campaigning, for Atmanirbhar Bharat, and for Unnat Bharat, and for Skill India movement as such. So therefore, there is already a quantum leap in relation to this. Almost around 18 to 19% extra money has been provided for this as such, in relation to this particular sector as such. And we all know that in the last 2.5 years, during the time of the pandemic, several startup companies have come up in the country. I was just calculating the data yesterday. In the last 2.5 years, around 500 new unicorns have come up in our country in the last 2.5 years of the pandemic times as such. 500 new unicorns which are being created by the educated youth of our country. Out of those 500 new unicorn companies, or this 500 new unicorn, 40 unicorns are super unicorns, which means in the last 2.5 years, they have not only established a new company, but the super unicorns are earning a profit of around 1,000 crore to 1,500 crore per year as such in the last 2 years. And to encourage more and more skilled youths and more educational educated youths of educational institutions like that of yours, the government of India and the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Finance Minister has advocated for more and more financial help in relation to Atmanirbhar Bharat, in relation to Unnat Bharat as such, because as the Honorable Prime Minister had yesterday said, that this budget is going to be a budget which would decide the roadmap of the coming 25 years of our country, so that by 2047 India emerges as a global economic power. That is the mission of the Honorable Prime Minister as such. And having taken into account that mission as such, we all understand that Skill India movement, Digital India movement is very, very important as such. And therefore, the government of India has also said that by the end of 2023, by the beginning of 2023, by the end of 2022, before the next budget of 2023-2024, fiber optics would be completed across the nook and corner of the country, which means the whole nation would be connected through optical fibers as such, through optical fibers across the nook and corner of the country. Because if we have to digitize India, if we have to popularize Skill India, if we have to make India Atmanirbhar Bharat, if we have to make India Unnat Bharat, then we have to have 100% fiber optics across the nook and corner of the country. And the mission of this budget is to provide that. The mission of this budget is to provide internet facility to each and every individual, to each and every household by the end of 2022 as such. So once internet facility is provided to each and every individual, to each and every youth of our country, to the whole population of our country, will not the middle class be benefited by this? Will not the educated class be benefited by this? Of course, it will be benefited by this, besides the rich class, as well as by the poorer section of our society as such. Together with that, another very important area where the government of India has allocated a huge amount of resources is in relation to the construction activities, in relation to the development of highways, in relation to the development of airports, in relation to the development of airways, in relation to the development of river ports, in relation to the development of interlinking of rivers, in relation to the development of hydropower resources, in relation to the development of solar resources, in relation to the development of green fuel or hydrogen fuel as such. Almost around couple of thousand crores, I believe it's at around 50 to 60,000 crores, which has been allocated for this mission as such in the new budget plan as such. And the government of India and the finance minister has again given an assurance that every nook and corner of our country will be touched by the national highways as such. There is already a plan of introducing several hundreds of Vande Bharat trains as such. There is already a plan of making several new national as well as international airports. There is already a plan of making 100% electrification of the railway lines by the end of 2024, when the parliament election takes place for the whole country as such. 100% electrification of the railway lines as such. There is already a plan of covering almost around 80 to 90% of the total population of our country, the total land area of our country by railway networks by the end of 2023 as such. This is the mission which this budget has provided for. So once this kind of construction activities, whether it's in the railway sectors, whether it's in the shipbuilding sector, whether it's in the riverways, whether it's in the roadways as such, once all these activities takes place, obviously there would be a quantum generation of employment as such. More and more people will be employed, and several educated youth of our country will get in jobs through all these kind of missions as such. The government of India has also said that the national highways of our country would be touching the far-flung areas of our country, including the remote border areas of our country, which touches China as well as Pakistan as such. So once more and more highways are developed across the nook and corner of our country, especially in the border areas, it is quite obvious that more civil engineers, more electrical engineers, more computer science engineers, more people from the management sector, more people from the medical sector, they all will be benefited because of this quantum leap in relation to the construction activities as such in our country as such. So there would be additional generation of employment as such. Together with that, there are several special schemes for the women population of our country. Almost 50% of the population of our country are actually female population as such. So the finance minister has allocated huge amount of additional resources for social health of women as such, for the upliftment of the girl child as such, for the proper health of the girl child as such. So once the new schemes of in relation to social health, once it gets implemented, once it starts operation, then obviously a large section of the population of our country will be benefited, and this would benefit all the sectors, all the class of our society, irrespective of caste, creed, region, religion as such. So this is the main modus operandi of the government of India and of the honorable finance minister as such. Together with that, if you look into the defense sector, if you compare it with the last budgetary allocation of 2021-22, the present budget for the defense sector, taking into consideration the strategic needs of our country, especially our security needs and our security requirements, because of China and because of Pakistan, we face problems with both these two countries. So there has been additional resources, which is almost around 13 to 14% more in comparison to the past defense budget of last year as such, which means that the present defense budget of our country, the allocation of resources has been 13 to 14% extra as such. So these are major measures which has been taken by the budget by the finance minister in the present budget as such, because the main mission of the finance minister is in relation to giving maximum governance at the doorstep, in relation to giving maximum fruits of governance, maximum fruits of development to each and every individual of the country, irrespective of region, caste, religion as such. And that is the main mission as such, because we all understand that if we have to be Atmanirbhar Bharat, if we have to be Unnat Bharat, we have to move ahead in this direction, we have to move ahead in this mission as such. And therefore I would say that there is every attempt being done in the post pandemic situation for helping out several sectors, whether it's the MSME sector, whether it's the agricultural sector, whether it's the education sector, whether it's the medical sector, whether it's the health sector, whether it's the digital sector, whether it's the IT sector, whether it's the service sector, whether it's the defense sector. Each and every sector has been covered. It is true that, you know, some people were little disappointed because of the tax of not reducing the tax deduction in relation to the tax rate as such. Everyone was thinking that there would be some deduction in relation to income tax or in relation to indirect tax as such. But the government was very much in a very cornered kind of a position because of the pandemic situation. So for us to give in a more tax reduction would have affected the GDP growth rate of our country. It would have actually affected the exchequer of the government as such, the budgetary exchequer as such. And in that way, the the exchange rate of our country and the foreign reserves of our country would have been affected. So that's the reason, I mean, the income tax slab was not touched. It was kept at status quo. But we do understand that might be midway down the line, might be in the midway of this year, or might be by the end of this year, there might be some additional incentives which might be given in relation to the income tax of the salaried class as such. But yes, definitely a big incentive has been given in relation to the housing loan, when incentives are provided in relation to housing loan, it is quite obvious that the middle class and the lower middle class population of our country gets benefited by such type of schemes as such. So the Honorable Finance Minister, under the guidance of the Honorable Prime Minister, has targeted and has looked into all the sectors, especially not only on long-term basis, but also on medium-term basis and also on short-term basis as such. And there is an ample amount of scope for the younger generation to look out for the fresh opportunities, which has been announced by the finance minister. The finance minister has also said that the state government universities and the state universities will also be encouraged with a huge boost up package, so that each and every institutions at the state level as well as the central level, both in the state level capacity and the government of India level capacity or in the private sector, gets benefited by plethora of reforms as such. Several more a lot of funds have been allocated more for people who want to study abroad with scholarship schemes. Government of India has allocated more resources in relation to scholarships, so that more and more youths can go abroad and they can study abroad for higher degrees also, as well as for those marginalized and students who come from the below the poverty line. For them also, there are several packages which has been announced in relation to financial aid, in relation to home scholarship schemes as such, in relation to education loan as such. So therefore, I understand that this budget is a cassette of several things in it. It is a basket with several flowers in it, and it is a budget which is a road-oriented budget. It has got a proper roadway ahead, and it is a budget which is focused, taking into consideration 25 years ahead down the line, taking into consideration the 100 years celebration of Indian independence in 2047. So this budget has taken all those measures which are important for short-term measures, as well as for medium-term measures, as well as for long-term measures. So I would say that it is a very optimistic budget. In my understanding, it is a budget which has a roadmap ahead. It is a fantastic budget, taking into consideration the abnormal times of the pandemic situation. I guess they could not have been a more better budget than this. Thank you so much. It was lovely hearing all of you. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts as well as my views with all of you. Thanks a lot once again. I wish your institution all the best in future. My cooperation and my support will always be there with your institution as such. I wish all the students a very bright future ahead, a very successful academic career. Thanks a lot. Bharat Mata ki jai. Vande Mataram.
Thank you so very much, sir, for your kind words, for the elaborated discussion over the budget 2022. Thank you so very much for being here. Now, I would be apologetic to borrow some more time from your busy schedules, and I would be now inviting our next panel member. I would invite Dr. Vijay Kumar, an associate professor, Department of Economics, University of Delhi, to share the knowledge with us all. Over to you, sir. I would now invite Dr. Vijay Kumar, an associate professor, Department of Economics, University of Delhi, to share the knowledge with us all. There might be some technical issues. I'll be proceeding further and asking, I'll take the time to invite Mr. Keshav Kumar, an assistant editor at News Nation, to share the knowledge with us all. Over to you, sir.
Keshav is not visible. He was there some time ago, but now he's not visible.
Vijay Kumar, Vijay sir, do we have Vijay sir with us? He was there a time ago, some time before he was there. All right. Valuing everybody's time, we'll be proceeding further with the event. We are really thankful to the eminent panel members for taking time out of their busy schedules and making their presence here to enhance students' knowledge and understanding of the budget and its implication on our economy. Now, I'll seek permission to move forward with the event with Q&A session. We have received few questions from the students. I request the panel members to kindly put light upon the seeking answers. We received a lot of questions concerning budget 2022, out of which we have shortlisted a few.
Akshita ji, please name the question and name the panelist whom you want to answer the question, or the man asking the question has named some panelist.
All right. So, sir, the question the students are asking, that will be open for the panel members. So whosoever would be addressing that.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Fair enough, fair enough. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So the first question that I have received from third year BBA department. So the person asked, from banking industry seeks tax parity between NBFC and banks. So any of the members would like to put the light upon the same? Tax parity between NBFC and banks.
We have a banker sitting here from Axis Bank. I think he will take the question. Okay, can you repeat? Since no one is taking it, let me see it. What is the question? There is a tax parity between NBFC and bank.
NBFC and non-banking financial institutions and banks, sir.
No, but where is the tax disparity between the two? Tax is same. Only thing the interest rates are different. Where is the disparity?
So, sir, the question that I have received that talks about the regulatory framework, the non-banking financial corporations, and they are kind of bringing close themselves to the applicability of the banks. So, in that regard, the student wanted to get some seeking the answer for
NBFCs are playing a major role in financing as an alternate route to the banks and reaching out to the people where banking takes a lot of time and is not able to reach. That is true there. Their interest rates are definitely high because they are profit driven and they need to meet all the costs. That is there, and accordingly they are taxed. But as a borrower, it doesn't affect you, one, except for the interest rate. Two, the applicable taxation rates are same whether it is a NBFC or it is a bank.
All right, sir. So, sir, there is another question that is from first year, and the student wanted to seek that what are the reliefs that traders and middle class is getting from this budget 22? What are the reliefs that the government of India is providing for traders and the middle class people?
आप पूछते हैं दर्द कहाँ, एक जगह हो तो कहूँ यहाँ. Relief is indirect. There is no direct relief as such per se. I mean that Ritisha Gehlotra was very emphatic on it कि यार क्या relief मांगते वो देखो ना मैं क्या होने वाला है indirect देखना चाहिए. So let Ritisha, there is no direct relief as say, because I'm saying so because for last many years the standard deductions, the ATC, the LTCG, they all are constant. In fact, दुनिया के बहुत सारे देशों में LTCG है नहीं, रितिशा जी, if you agree with me, and this has really created dent in certain kind of thing. But then having said it, आप बता दीजिए कि साहब क्या रिलीफ आ गए हैं, तो हमें भी थोड़ा सुकून मिले. मैं जाके अपनी घरवाली को भी बता दूंगा, देखो ये रिलीफ है.
नहीं, मिडिल क्लास के लिए स्पेशली, बिकॉज नॉर्मली मैंने जो देखा है लोगों का यही माइंडसेट रहता है कि टैक्स से रिलेटेड किसी तरीके की, तो उस तरीके की तो कोई बात हुई नहीं है बजट में. तो मैं ये बोलूंगी कि रिलीफ आप इस तरीके से देखिए कि जो गवर्नमेंट जो इतना अपॉर्चुनिटीज लेके आ रही है, तो आप उसे में जैसे स्टार्टअप्स के लिए इतना एनकरेजमेंट है, तो हम मतलब मैं ये बोलूंगी कि हम इस तरफ क्यों सोचे कि मेरे खर्चे कम हो जाए, मैं इस तरफ क्यों ना सोचूं कि मेरी इनकम बढ़ जाए. ठीक है, तो मतलब क्यों मिडिल क्लास ये सोचता है कि मुझे कुछ ना कुछ ऐसे करके मुझे यही एहसास कराते रहो कि मेरे खर्चे कैसे कम मैं करूं. तो हम अच्छा कमाएं, अच्छा करें और कंट्रीब्यूट करें. तो मैं यहाँ बस ये बोलूंगी कि बस गवर्नमेंट ये ना करे कि हमेशा ये वादों में ना रह जाएं चीजें जो उन्होंने इतना बजट दिया है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर से रिलेटेड. अभी आप एग्रीकल्चर में भी इतनी बात हो रही है कि दे लुकिंग फॉर ड्रोन्स और लैंड रिकॉर्ड, सब चीजों में डिजिटलाइजेशन की बात हो रही है. इवन अगर एजुकेशन में अब वो चैनल्स बना रहे हैं प्रॉपर, जैसे अभी हम लोग DTH वगैरह हमारे चैनल, उसमें वन एजुकेशन चैनल ऑल्सो दे अभी जब जो बात है, तो ये रिलीफ की अगर बात करें कुछ कम हो गया तो वही है कि रिटर्न्स की डेट्स उन्होंने थोड़ी एक्सटेंड कर दी हैं, कुछ एक सरचार्ज कम कर दिया. बट एक मिडिल क्लास जो बोले उसके लिए ऐसा कोई स्पेसिफिक कोई बात नहीं है. वो भी सब
एक रिलीफ है रितिशा जी, एक रिलीफ है अक्षिता जी, वो ये है कि कोई टैक्स नहीं बढ़ाया. नाउ दिस इज अ बिग रिलीफ.
वो शी सेड दैट कि 2 सालों से बस टैक्स नहीं बढ़ाया.
Ritisha has just planted an idea. If your director is listening, please tell them to increase your income. Ask for an increment. Sir, don't talk about taxes. Please increase our salary right now. So thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you so very much, ma'am. So we have received another question from a student from BCom. So he is asking that, looking at the scenarios in 20 and 21, and the government must have come with plans to manage the health sector. So, there are students who are talking on the personal terms that, the health sector was highly collapsed and they have, in one or the other ways, they had lost their loved ones because of the, in other ways, because of the lack of infrastructure or maybe lack of resources. So they're asking that what is that government of India recommending and allocating towards health sector this time?
Okay, if anyone is not taking, then I will answer it. नहीं तो सबको लगा रनब सेन आ गया डिबेट पर, सब कुछ ही बोलता जा रहा है.
So in regard to health, I can say that for mental health counseling, a national tele-mental health program will be launched, what they have said. And these days, the government has started talking about mental health specifically. So one, they have mentioned that, and 2 lakh they have called Anganwadis to be upgraded to Saksham Anganwadis, and concessional custom duty on a few of the drugs will be done. Only these 3 things have been taken in regard to health. So yes, yes sir.
Please go ahead, Ritisha.
No, that very well said that yes, we have faced that the problem with the health in the second wave of COVID, and definitely that needs to be considered. But I cannot see anything specifically talked on that. So maybe sir, you can add to this.
Okay, let me give it an indirect flip to it. So health sector mein, since I'm a clinical psychologist, this was not mentioned by Akshita in my introduction. So I help people avoiding divorce and making up after their breakup. So anyway, health sector, health pandemic is the pandemic. We all have lost someone close or a friend and someone known to us during last wave. So this was a key sector that is needed to be done. There is a PLI which is in the sector of pharma manufacturing and medical devices. So they are getting cheaper, they are getting better. जो रक्षिता जी ने, रितिशा जी ने कहा कि सब ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, don't ask for money. So those are getting cheaper. Those are kind of things have been done. Of course, wellness sector is still GST rate is 18%, which needed to be done. So, and lastly, most importantly, national digital health ecosystem ban raha hai, Ritisha ji, which is a great thing and which will help to synchronize everything, all the facilities. तो बस ये सब बातें हैं सर, बढ़िया चांदी का वर्क लगा लीजिए आप उसके ऊपर. Thank you.
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल सही. Right.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. And really sorry, sir. I'll be taking care of that next time. So, as we are already overshooting with the time, I'll be taking the last question from the student that has come again from BCom student. So he's asking, as they are into the education sector and they are studying. So what impetus the government of India has initiated in terms of the digital mode of learning? So as the government of India under this budget, so they have focused on upskills and they have specifically focused regarding this digital learning. So if any of the panel members could put light upon the same, sir.
मेरे और रितिशा के अलावा कोई पैनल मेंबर प्लीज जवाब दे दे.
I can only read from the specifically from the budget.
Narendra Kumar Bhasin ji, please. Dr. Sahab, Dr.
Digital learning, I think already in the new education policy, they already have introduced that technology will going to play a very important role. We have a separate chapter in new education policy that what are the basically all changes are made. So everything, and even Prime Minister also in budget also it has said the e-Vidya channel, more than 200 channels will be there where the learnings will be there, and
Yes.
already we have SWAM MOOCs where we are presenting, and as faculty members we are also presenting our lectures. So because now see this COVID variants will come and go, it's like to remain like mask and social distancing. I think we have to keep for our safety. It's like a continuous process. So I think digital learning is the only mode that now everything it will be continued. Even offline will be there, but I think the digital learning will be more focused. Like at present also we are sitting different locations. So I think earlier nobody thought physically used to come to campus and deliver. So digital learning is the main focus. I think higher education as well as even for school education also. So all these channels, government channels. So I think that is a good process.
And budget allocation has been increased from 93,000 crores last year to it has grown up by 11.5%. That's it. 1,02,000 crore kind of thing have been allocated for education.
Yes.
बस कीजिए साहब, अब हो गया, मतलब मुझे लगता है.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
Something like that we can continue.
Thank you so very much. I pay my deepest of gratitude and would again thankful to all the eminent panel members, and would be thanking again for bringing out time for this event and making this event the most vibrant, knowledgeable and joyful. So now I would be inviting Miss Ila Rai, to extend her vote of thanks for all the panel members who made their presence for today's event. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. I take this moment to thank all the members without whom this event would not have been possible. On behalf of IIMT College of Management, I extend my thanks to all our guest speakers, namely Dr. Rajiv Agarwal sir, Dr. Subhakamal Datta sir, Dr. Narendra Kumar Bhasin sir, CA Vijay Mehrotra sir, CA Rajendra Kumar Gupta sir, CA Ashima Galhotra ma'am, Dr. Vijay Kumar sir, and Mr. Keshav Kumar sir. Thank you all for providing your precious time from your busy schedule and enlightening us on this topic. I am sure that today we all be leaving the session with a little more knowledge about the topic budget 2022. A big thank you and a gratitude towards our patron, Honorable Dr. Mayank Agarwal sir, who has always supported us on our initiatives and directed us to the success. I also would like to thank our director sir, Dr. Abhinav Bakshi sir, without whose constant mentoring, this event would not have been a successful. Heartiest congratulations to the organizers and convener for making this event possible and a success. I also take this moment to extend my thanks to all the deans and HODs who keep on motivating us to put our best foot forward. No event is successful without the wonderful audience. And for us, our thanks to our wonderful audience for being so patient and attentive throughout the session. Last but not the least, my big thanks to our team of esteemed faculties who work tirelessly behind the scenes and for all the events which our college organizes and makes all of them a success in its own. Your efforts are always noted and acknowledged. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Please
so
convey my
much.
regards to Dr. Abhin Bakshi for giving me
How-
this chance
how
to
is he?
speak
How
so
is
many
recovery?
wonderful people.
Dr.
Sure,
Bakshi recovering?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so very much. Thank you
Thank-
so much. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much.